Hello and welcome to another edition of Andy's Shed Live. This is Series 12, episode number 8 for Sunday the 26th of February 2023. Hello there everybody, welcome to the show on this Sunday evening. We are mega late tonight. I know it's all got a bit wrong today in so many ways I can't even begin to tell you, but we are here now. I'm just trying to set everything up actually, so just bear with me just one moment while we try and get everything up as it should be, and we might even manage to get it right in a minute. Just a sec. Right, I'm just looking for the chat so I can start the chat up, because like I say, I'm running mega behind. Oh, there we are. Oh crikey, everybody's here already. So you've all beat me to it today. Right, so I need to copy that from there, and I then need to put that in there. Right, and hopefully then I can turn that on like that, and the chat appears. Hey! Magic, innit? Absolutely magic. Right, now I should be able to shut that and look at that. Right, now I can see what you've all been up to in the chat. Crikey, I am so late today. Sorry everybody, sorry. Slap myself for being late. I'll give myself lines or something. Gambo's here, Fat Hobbit's here, Dominic's here, Penfold's here, Peter Blackburn's here, Keith's here, Get's here, yeah, that's everybody I think. Right, what's everybody been saying? Right, just let me catch up, just bear with me a second. Peter says, I asked my wife if I was the only one she's been out with. She told me I was. She said all the others were 9s or 10s. It's the way I tell them. Keith says, Andy's a bit like the Wizard of Oz. We are waiting for him to come out from behind the curtain. I wish I was like the Wizard of Oz. He only worked for about 6 months in 1948, didn't he? You mean he's wearing ruby slippers and there's a little Toto dog? No, I actually don't walk a little Toto dog. I don't know any little Toto type dogs. Yeah, maybe ending up with a dog soon though. That's another story. And as for the ruby slippers, no, afraid not. All my shoes lace up, don't do slippers. Yeah, it says maybe there's a problem with YouTube. No, I have to say I love to blame YouTube when I can, but unfortunately on this occasion it wasn't YouTube. It was just down to me being late. Penfold says we never see his feet. I just can't get the camera there, so I just can't do it. Peter says, what are 100 retreating rabbits called? A receding hairline. Oh God. Should I ban him? No, we wouldn't do that to you. What do ghosts use to phone home? A terror phone. How does Adam West's mum get him in for lunch? How does Adam West's mum get him in for lunch? Answer: dinner, 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 Batman. Yeah. I thought that was on that calibre sort of thing. What do you call an illegally parked frog? Toad. Think about it. Think about it. It's a bit meta, that one. Gambo says, what's in the Amazon box, Andy? Just being nosy. Dominic says, have you walked any staffies? Yes, lots, Dominic. Yeah, we get lots of staffies. Michael says, hi Andy, everyone. Sorry, I feel like I let you down. Can't contribute to the radio station yet. Don't worry, Michael, because it's not on air yet. So you're totally fine. You're totally fine. You just take your time, because it enables me to take a bit more time. Amazon box. Somebody's on about an Amazon box. That up there. Can you see that? Where's the camera pointing? Oh yeah, you can see that. Yeah. I don't know what's in that Amazon box, to be honest with you. I think it may be something I've shown you before, but I can always do it again. Yeah, I think you've seen the contents of this box before, possibly. But it's worth doing again. Dominic will like this. Alright, hang on. I've got to get the right camera on it. Where's my camera 2? Alright, here's camera 2. Yeah, so here's the Amazon box then for you. Right, hang on. Right, let's that sound up a bit. So, right, Amazon box. Here is what's in the Amazon box. I've not actually tried these yet. It's a video cassette, UCA 20S. It's a 20-minute video cassette, because these ones in silly boxes. It is a U-matic video cassette. This is the little version of a U-matic video, because they come in two sizes. They come in small and large. This is the small cassette. You get a cassette which is bigger than this. It's sort of like there, sort of thing. And they both fit in the same machine magically as well. But this is a sort of broadcast quality. You wouldn't class it as broadcast quality in the modern world with high def and all that sort of thing. But it's a sort of broadcast quality video cassette, invented by Sony in about 1968, 1969-ish. I think they got here in about 1971, 72 into this country. Originally invented as the first cassette-based home video format, when a home video recorder would have set you back about $2,000. But it was very quickly adopted by TV companies for news, for a new thing called electronic news gathering, where, because previous to these, news was all shot on film, normally 16mm film, which then was shot wherever outside the courthouse or whatever, where the serial killer was being sentenced, or wherever there'd been the national disaster, or whatever, and was then couriered by motorbike back to the studios, where the film was processed in a film processing lab, edited if necessary, and then put on the news that evening. Now this got rid of all the processing and stuff, of course. Still had to be couriered back, but it got rid of all the processing time, so it made news a lot faster, and it was also cheaper because nobody's bothered about yesterday's news, so you could reuse the tape, you see. So this is a small U-matic tape that would have fit in a U-matic portable recorder that would have been paired with a U-matic camera. They didn't have camcorders, they had video recorders and video cameras linked together by a cable, and this would have fit in a portable U-matic recorder. Now you get big U-matic recorders that have a whole hour of tape on them, on their cassettes, and like I say, those cassettes are bigger, but both cassettes will fit in a big machine, in a studio-based machine, but only these little ones will fit in the portable machines that were used with the cameras. I've got one of the portable machines. I've not got a camera that goes with it. If anybody's got a camera, it's a very long shot for anybody to have a camera that worked with a U-matic machine, but if anybody's got a camera that would work with a Sony U-matic deck, let me know. So that's one tape. I buy the tapes when I see them at a sensible price because they are getting a bit rare. Here's another one. These ones are a bit more common. This is a Sony. Who's made that one? That's a Sony, isn't it? Oh, that's a Scotch, that one. That's a bit rare, a Scotch one. You don't see many Scotch ones. But this is a Sony one. I've seen quite a few of these. Exactly the same sort of idea. If I move the box out of the way, you can see it on the bench. Exactly the same sort of idea. But this is an alignment tape. So what this is a special cassette for putting in your U-matic machine, and it's got colour bars and special patterns and things on it that will basically allow you to set up your machine, because there's various little pots and controls on the machine that you have to tweak, and here are some of the notes on how you do the tweaking. And that for anybody who's interested. How about that then? Right, enough of that. So yeah, this is an alignment tape. It's the only one I've ever seen, an alignment tape, so I thought I'd probably better buy it. And I have got another big U-matic machine on the way that I've purchased this last week off eBay. It's coming up from the south coast, hopefully coming up to Nottingham, and I'm going to pick it up from there when the guy comes to see his relatives in Nottingham. So that's what was in the Amazon box. For those of you who wanted to know what was in the Amazon box, Dominic says that Sony box design is rather funky. What, you mean this? You mean this one, Dominic? This thing? Yeah, it's very 70s, isn't it? That it'd make a nice border to go on your wall, wouldn't it? That a nice border around the top of your wallpaper. Yeah. The U-matic wallpaper. How brilliant would that be? Right. Pooper Scooper is here. What a brilliant name. Evening, Pooper. Gambo says, I must have missed this revealing box. They're fab. Yeah, they're very good. Michael T says, Bob Monkhouse was a massive collector. Yeah, Bob Monkhouse was. There's all kinds of stories about Bob Monkhouse. I don't know where to begin. There was a brilliant documentary about Bob Monkhouse on TV. I think it was on BBC 4. Maybe originally be on BBC 2, but I think I've seen it on BBC 4. Brilliant documentary about Bob Monkhouse, and although Bob was a comic, and quite a good comic, I quite like Bob Monkhouse. He was also a massive collector of television shows, and we're going back to the days when we only had 3 channels in the UK. Now I know that's hard to believe now in this multi-channel age, a multi-platform age, where you've got Freeview and you've got Sky and you've got Virgin and you've got Netflix, but we only used to have three channels: BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV. Then Channel 4 came along, and then ITV. Then Channel 5 came along as well, and that was the end of it for terrestrial channels, and all the rest of them had to wait until the digital age. But in the days when we only had 3 channels, Bob Monkhouse was going through the Radio Times and regularly videotaping programs off air. He actually had at his home a number of video machines set up, which in the early days of him doing it must have been pneumatics. They must have been. I don't know what they were. I've not actually seen the machines, but they must have been pneumatics in the early days of doing it. And he left instructions with his family, if he was away, if he was out, of what they were to record. And he recorded most things, and quite a lot of the lost TV that has been recovered, like episodes of Doctor Who and episodes of Dad's Army and various other less known things. Quite a lot of what's been recovered was actually recovered from this massive shed in Bob Monkhouse's garden, because he had this humongous shed built. Shed's the wrong word for it, because really it was a proper film and videotape library, and it was huge. You know, there were miles and miles of shelving in it, all with film cans and videotapes and all sorts of things on. And an organisation called Kaleidoscope got involved with it, and they're a bit difficult to explain what they do, Kaleidoscope, but basically they are very much involved with the rediscovery and preservation of old film and particularly television episodes and stuff. So it came under the care of Kaleidoscope, and occasionally Kaleidoscope have events where they screen some of the stuff that's been found on various places. And if you ever get the chance to go to one of these events, go along, because it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. The BBC also had a documentary a while back all about this and discovering the old media, called Missing Believed Wiped. And it's fascinating stuff, because videotape, not just cassettes but actual videotape, reel-to-reel videotape, was mega expensive, and they used to reuse it all the time. And to get a decent edit, they used to physically cut the tape. But because, if you imagine it going through, imagine like a reel-to-reel audio tape player. Well, a videotape player is exactly the same, but it's got 2 lots of heads. One's a video head and one's an audio head, and of course they can't be in the same place. So if your tape is running along here like this, your video might be recorded here and your audio might be recorded here. So when you cut the tape at any one place, you cut the video, but the audio might be a bit ahead or a bit behind. So you've cut the audio at a different place to where you've cut the video. So when you splice it together, you've got a couple of seconds of blank bit of audio or blank bit of video, and cutting videotape, actually editing videotape, physically cutting it, was a real art form. It took a lot of doing because you had to dub part of the audio, you had to cut to the video, dub part of the audio that was going to be missing because the head was in the wrong place, onto a reel-to-reel audio player, recorder, and then do your video cut and then dub back onto the videotape the bit of audio that was missing from the reel-to-reel audio machine. And it was such a faff that for a while the BBC said, when we videotape a program that's made in studio, you are only allowed to have 2 edits in the videotape. You're allowed 2 cuts for one program, no more. So if you fluff your lines 3 times, third one stays in. So, and that's why if you watch certain old shows, you know, they do everything possible to get round the fluff without having to edit it out, because it's a real process. There is a video somewhere on YouTube that I think was made by the BBC about how that edit process works. It's not on video cassette, it's reel-to-reel tape. I think it's either 2-inch or 1-inch tape that they're doing it on, and it shows you in detail how it's done, and it's such an involved faff about process you would not believe. It really is. It's unbelievable how anything got made. It is such a messy process to do. But so that's what was in the Amazon box anyway. I hadn't realised one of those was a Scotch tape. I'll have to try that. I wonder if there's anything on it. It looks like it might be a new tape then. So yeah, that's what was in the box. Penfold says, I used to use U-matics as a recording medium when I first started offshore in the late 80s. They were used as a secondary recording device. What were you recording onto those, Penfold? Were you recording video? Because soon there was a use for U-matic for recording audio. There were U-matic audio machines, or conversions for U-matic machines to make them into audio recorders, because they could actually record at a high enough quality audio that it was used for mastering CDs. So if you went into a studio and recorded a music track or something, and you wanted to make a master for a CD, you actually made that master on a U-matic videotape. And that's where the CD masters came from. Penfold says the problem with U-matic was they were only 1 hour of recording. Yeah, because to get the quality up, the tape had to move quite quickly, and that's why it's better quality than like VHS and Betamax and V2000, if you remember that, because the tape in a U-matic is going at a fair old lick. Michael says, I still use Super 8mm. That's my first love. But it's 120 quid for 50 foot now. Bloody hell! 120 quid for 50 foot of film. Wow, that is expensive. Dominic says, are there any plans to visit Elstree? You know, that's interesting, Dominic, because I did film a video at Elstree one day. I went to a recording of Not Going Out with Lee Mack, and because the recording was in the evening, I spent the day walking around Elstree and did film it all. But it was such a windy day, the audio was terrible on it, so I've never released the video. But it would be good to go back and do it. If you fancy a visit, Dominic, it would be good to go back to Elstree. The problem is, these days, they are so security conscious for various reasons that you can't go into any of the studio complexes or anything. But you can still see quite a lot from outside looking over the fence if you know where to look. But also, an interesting bit about Elstree, or Boreham Wood as it should be better called, because it's Elstree Studios is not actually at Elstree, it's at Boreham Wood. There have been at least 5, possibly more, studios in Boreham Wood over the years, totally different entities, 2 of which still exist. One that still exists is the old EMI Studios, which is now Elstree Film and Television, and the other one that still exists is, I don't know what it was originally, but in the 60s it was ATV. ATV being the ITV franchise for the Midlands, but they had a studio in London which caused a massive kerfuffle. And when they were forced to sell their studio in London, because basically the regulators said, you've got the franchise for running television in the Midlands, you don't need a studio in London, you must get rid of that. When they did get rid of it, they sold it to the BBC, and the BBC promptly built Albert Square on part of it. And that is BBC Elstree. And the time where you see BBC Elstree a lot, or you see the real outside of BBC Elstree, as it was, because it's changed a bit now, but it's still there, this building, is if you watch the Jerry Anderson series UFO, and the opening titles of UFO have got this fantastically modern looking car going underneath this big skyscraper building, very 60s looking tower block. That tower block is BBC Elstree, which is not actually Elstree. Elstree is a little village down the road that is still a leafy little village, although everybody says, oh, these programmes made at Elstree. They weren't. They were made in Boreham Wood. Nothing, as far as I know, was ever made at Elstree. Penfold says VHS was the recording medium of choice. Panasonic professional recorders when I was offshore due to the extra recording length. You wouldn't have got very good quality though on VHS, even with a professional recording machine, because VHS just wasn't very high quality. The performance of it just wasn't very good. Pooper Scooper says, don't have any of those cassette types. I have a few Video 2000 and quite a few Betamaxes still, but difficult to get the machines maintained. Yeah, V2000 is that's a rare one, V2000. I've only ever seen in person one V2000 machine, and that was when I was at school, because they had one at school. But V2000 was unusual for those that don't know it, because as far as I know it was the only video cassette format you could turn over and record on both sides. Not really sure how V2000 worked. I ought to have a little look into that. Pooper Scooper says, Bob's collection was incredible. Apparently he had video recording devices way back in the 1960s. I have wondered what he was using way back then. Well, if it was back in the 60s, it would have had to be reel-to-reel video. And I can't imagine that he would have had that, because they were temperamental, and they were huge. You know, it would have been, if it was 1960s, it would have been a 2-inch quadruple X video machine, and they are the sort of size of a Welsh dresser, and the height of a Welsh dresser as well. They were huge quadruple X video machines. If you look on YouTube, there are people who have got them. There are collectors, I think they're in America mainly, who have got 2-inch quad video machines and restored them, and they are massive. You have to take them apart to move them. They're that big and heavy. But I have on here before featured some of the very first U-matic machines, and they are huge. They've now moved to the radio station studio because I've just not got room here anymore to put them, and I just wanted somewhere I could put them and not have to keep moving them, because they are big and they are incredibly heavy. But yeah, I'm working through U-matic machines, trying to get them all going and that at the minute, and I'm having some success with it. You have to change some capacitors in them. You get capacitors that blow up, and then you have to change the capacitors in them. But yeah, generally you can often get them going again. It's fairly bomb-proof technology, U-matic video. It's all very well built stuff. Penfold says the whole video recording medium was moved to VHS due to the porn industry requiring more than 1 hour lengths. Yes, why? I don't understand. Michael says, Andy, going back to the topic of home video, do you consider, like me, the video nasty scene of the early 1980s as something to be celebrated? Clint Howard in Evil Speak, for example. Well, it's a thing that's there, isn't it? And it's a part of history now. And the weird thing about movies of any kind, whether you call them video nasties or whatever you call them, is they're often only nasty at the time. The one that most people have seen, it wasn't really would it have been called a video nasty at the time? It might have been, I don't know. But the one that is a legendary, banned by the BBC and all that, is The Exorcist with Linda Blair. Which Mike Oldfield did the music for, and then went on to do the theme music for Blue Peter, but that's another story. Just think about that the next time you watch The Exorcist. But I saw The Exorcist when it finally got allowed onto television, and thought, why has this been banned everywhere? Because it was a long time later, and then I think it got re-released in the cinema, and I went to the cinema to see it, thinking, well, maybe they cut it for the television, and I went, and it was just the same. Linda Blair with her head spinning round, and I thought, well, actually, this is quite tame, but it probably wasn't by the standards of the 1970s when it came out. So, but yeah. You know, if it's happened, it's a part of history, isn't it? So, and The Exorcist is actually quite a good film. I do actually quite like The Exorcist. But a thing that is better, that you may not have heard of, you know, when the airport movies, the airport disaster movies came out in the 1970s, you know, Airport 77 and was it Airport 80, the Concorde or something like that. These were proper straight up disaster movies. Well, another bunch of people did spoofs called Airplane, which now are better known than actual Airport. But the Airplane movies were spoofs of Airport, and they also did a series for television, the same people, called Police Squad, which was a spoof of all those sort of 60s and 70s cop shows like Kojak and Starsky and Hutch and things like that. Well, around about the same time, they also did a spoof of The Exorcist called Repossessed. And hilariously, they somehow got Linda Blair, who had been in The Exorcist as a little girl. She'd grown up a bit by the time that Repossessed came on, but somehow they actually got the real Linda Blair to take the lead role in the spoof version, and it's hilarious. It's called Repossessed. Very, very, very funny. And I think Leslie Nielsen, yeah, I'm sure Leslie Nielsen from the Naked Gun movies and from Police Squad and from the Airplane movie is in it. But yeah, Repossessed. I think I saw Repossessed first before The Exorcist. I think Repossessed came on TV and then I saw The Exorcist, which is why The Exorcist is always just funny to me, because I think of Repossessed every time I see it. Fat Hobbit says, I remember how horrified people were by video nasties. Then it led on to snuff videos, which were meant to be really horrific. Penfold says, was that about powdered tobacco, Fat Hobbit? No. Right, no. Not quite sure where this conversation's going tonight. But yeah, the sort of video nasty scene. They'll be in a vault somewhere. They'll be in a museum. So I'd be very surprised if the Museum of Television and Cinematography in Bradford hasn't got a lot of them in a vault somewhere. I'd be very surprised. Pooper Scooper says, I think ATV smashed many of their cameras when they left Elstree. Ah, you've heard that story. Alright, I can tell you something about that. When ATV left what is now BBC Elstree, they left a lot of equipment in, because at that time TV cameras and the associated equipment was big, it was heavy, and basically the stuff that was at ATV was getting fairly outdated. And they got nowhere to put it, because they'd already got a studio in Nottingham anyway that was fully equipped. So they left the stuff there, because it was cheaper to leave it there than it was to take it to the tip or move it. So they left it there, but because they didn't like the BBC, they sabotaged all the equipment as best they could. So they basically sabotaged all the equipment so nothing would work. So the BBC was left with a load of junk, basically. And I'm told it took the BBC engineers an afternoon to put it all back together and use the cameras for many years to come. So they didn't do a very good job of sabotaging it, and the cameras were put back into service. Michael T says Scanners with Michael Ironside, David Cronenberg, my hero, cutting his teeth for The Fly remake. Yeah, Scanners. Yeah, Scanners is a well-known movie now, isn't it? Was that classed as a video nasty originally? It's a well-known movie now. No, now those Scanners, isn't it? And The Fly, of course, The Fly is legendary. Quite like the special effects on that Fly remake. That very, very, very good practical special effects on that. Got something to tell you. Come here. While we're talking about old TV and stuff, you know, I've been watching this week. I've been watching Blake 7. And you know when you start watching something you've not seen for years, you sort of type it into Wikipedia, don't you? Just to refamiliarise yourself with it. Well, I typed it into Google to get the Wikipedia page. Loads of stuff came up about Blake 7, including somebody has uploaded a 3D printable file for a Liberator teleportation bracelet. Well, I just had to, didn't I? Now I've not printed it out yet, but I have got it, and I am going to print it out this coming week. So if you want to know how to make a real Liberator teleportation bracelet, not the one made out of a pop bottle that Leslie Judd did on Blue Peter, but a more substantial one, watch this space, because we'll have a Liberated teleportation bracelet on here. Try saying that when you've had a few. Liberated teleportation bracelet. But yeah, that's one of the things that I've been doing this week when I should have been doing other things. That's one of the reasons why I'm late. Been late for everything all week. Pooper Scooper says VHS ran very slowly, hence the lower quality. Yes, I think it was the speed. Yeah, I think you're quite right. I think it was the speed that made it low quality. Makes you wonder why they didn't do a fast version for high quality if you only needed an hour. Makes you wonder why they didn't make it so it would run 3 times as fast through a machine, so you could have a higher quality recording, doesn't it? Vital 2 says Chris Wallace, who did the Gremlins puppets. Oh, the Gremlins were brilliant. Penfold says Sue Lynn was stunning in Blake 7, played by Glynis Barber. Yes, and she was even more stunning in Dempsey and Makepeace. That's where I first... I must have actually seen Glynis Barber in Blake 7 and not realised Glynis Barber was Glynis Barber. But I noticed her when Dempsey and Makepeace started. And then I may have remembered this wrong, but did she much later pop up in the abortive relaunch of Crossroads? Fairly sure she did. But yeah, Glynis Barber, Harriet Makepeace. Right. Need to get that image out of my head so I can concentrate on what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. Okay. So yeah, there you go. There you have it. That is our little trip down, and all because somebody saw an Amazon box behind me. But yeah, that's our trip down television memory lane. How had another box come this week? Yeah, this other box that I've got is not really as exciting as those videotapes were. Well, it's fairly exciting if you've got a True Phone, because I've got loads of True Phone bits. Look, Look, the hooky bits for a trim phone. And the bit that goes inside. Now, how do they go together? I'm not sure, but without the rest of the trim phone there, it's hard to tell. But the interesting part about this is I've got some of these that are sort of purpley and some that aren't. Can you see the difference in those? Actually, you can't really, can you? But trust me, there is. Oh, maybe that's a more. There, you can see the difference in those two, can't you? So purple ones and clear ones. I'm thinking the clear ones are the older ones and they were made purple later. Am I right in thinking that, or am I wrong? But yeah, all these trim phone parts cost me the grand total of £1. Well, no, I think they're actually 99p. So yeah, we've got a few trim phone bits. But trim phone bits are really hard to come by because none of the moulds have survived for making trim phones as far as I'm aware. So trim phone parts are difficult to get, and there is a trim phone base in there as well. So if I find a case, that would be excellent. So yeah, so they've arrived as well this week. So that's another little box of things that's turned up. But yeah, apart from that, nothing new really. Nothing new to report. What I have done is I've now lubricated the dial that we were doing last week, and it sort of works. It does make a bit of a strange clicky noise though. This it is a bit. Yeah, it is a bit. Can you hear that? It's a dunk dunk as it's going back. And I've had it apart and I cannot work out where that dunk dunk is coming from. It's obviously something not quite put together right, or not quite adjusted right somewhere along the line. But I cannot find it for the life of me. I've had all this apart again since we had it apart on the show last week. I've had it all apart again since then, and I still can't find it. It's really annoying. You know, like when your car gets an annoying rattle that you can't find? It's a bit like that. But yeah, I think it'll work though. So we may put this back in the telephone. See where we go from there. Penfold says, any trim phone handsets and cases in the box? Unfortunately not, Penfold. No, there's one base plate in there, but no cases or handsets, unfortunately. Pooper Scooper says, I thought Salem's Lot was scary at the time. Now I don't find them scary at all. Still good though. I love the old Hammer films. Yeah, very good. I mean, if you want a sort of horror-y sort of film, I think my favourite's got to be The Shining. Purely and simply because I've been there and sort of been in the room when the famous bit out of The Shining where Jack comes up the stairs into the in his apartment in the hotel with the axe, and then puts the axe through the door. Right, just remember that. You remember that scene from The Shining, yeah? He's in his apartment in the hotel, and there's about half a dozen steps up in his apartment, and he comes along the corridor, up a few steps, axe, boom, through the door. Here's Johnny. Right, remember that in your head. Now, another one that you'll remember is from one of the Star Wars films. It wasn't Star Wars though. Was it Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi? It was one of them two. I think it was Return of the Jedi. Jabba the Hutt's sort of throne room, where he's got Princess Leia captive in chains in that gold bikini sort of thing. Yeah, right, remember that scene? Those two scenes, exactly the same place. Exactly the same place. What's it? It is stage 8 at Elstree Film and Television. Also, exactly the same place where some of the Not Going Outs have been filmed. So you watch Not Going Out, you watch The Shining, you watch Star Wars, or Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi, whichever one it is. All the same room. Now, that is something that's really hard to get your head around. At least I find it hard to get your head around. That you're sitting in the place where this happened, but also that happened, and that happened, but where I'm sitting looks nothing like any of those things. Yeah, it's very, very, very strange. It's a very, very oddball place. Yeah, we like stage 8, and the reason that there's steps up in that apartment in The Shining is because there was a sunken floor in the middle of that stage, which originally went down into Elstree's underground car park. I believe the BBC have either boarded it over or filled it in when the BBC were using the studios for Not Going Out, because when they did Not Going Out it was a flat floor, and they put a proper television studio floor in, which has to be basically made out of a very special sort of concrete and all polished on the top to support the cameras to glide about on, the TV cameras. And they poured this floor, and it's a bit like self-leveling screed and stuff. He didn't set. And they've got a program going in to be made, so they had to put like all boards on the floor because the floor was wet. And then they had to rip it all up and start again. But who didn't put the hardener in? You know, next time you've got a bit of ice upon and you're filling a hole in your car and you forget to put the hardener in. Just imagine them doing that at Elstree. Right, I've got my phone. That means the bits. So I've now got the phone back on the desk. That is short of a dial. So shall we try and put the dial back in? This is the grotty phone, remember, that we had on the other week. And we need to put the dial back in. Now, when you're refitting a dial, it's always important to remember to put this over the wires first. Otherwise, you'll wire all that up to there and come to fit it back in and go, damn, I've not put that on, and there's no way of getting it on. So always remember to put that over there. There is a way, actually. You take that screw out there, but it's better just to put it over there first. And then we have to refit these, and this is the bit I can never remember, the order that these go in. Have I got a crib sheet somewhere with it on? I'll have a little look. See if I've got anything with it on anywhere. I'm looking for a cruise sheet with these things on because I can never remember which blooming order they go in. I have this trouble every time. I'm terrible at remembering stuff like that. You can never find a picture of what you want, can you? And when you want it. Do. How hopeless is the internet sometimes? Right, let's see if I've got it written down on a bit of paper somewhere. Some of you are probably screaming the way of doing this, aren't you? At me. Right, I'm just looking. I think it's something I've never written down because I generally just look at another one, but I've not got another one handy to look at today. Orange, pink, brown, grey, blue. Right. The other thing that you have to put on, of course, is this. So you have to fit that over there as well. Oh, it's not in focus, is it? Is that better? Right, that's better, I think. Right, so you have to also fit that over there. Orange, pink, brown, grey, blue. Right, now the question is, which way round? Orange, pink, brown, grey, blue. I think it's that end. round. Right. Here we go. Orange, pink, brown, grey, blue. I'm going to double check. I have indeed got it the right way around by looking at another one. Just talk amongst yourselves a minute. I knew it was going to be one of those days when I got out of bed this morning. Right. Yeah, so with that at the bottom, it goes orange, pink, brown, grey, blue. That's what I thought. Orange, pink, brown, grey, blue. Right, it's alright, I'm just putting other phones back together that I was looking at. See, that's how I do it. I don't remember. I just have to crib off another one. But people send me messages saying, oh, well, what's the colour sequence of this? Such and such. And, you know, at the time I'm like driving somewhere or something, or I'm out somewhere. I think, I've got no idea until I actually go and have a look. So, here we are then. So we are going for orange, there, pink is the sort of upper one, the top one, pink, brown, grey, and finally blue. There. So that's all on. Now we can put plastic bit back on. Now there's a little screw there that should go through this hole in this plastic. So you have to take that out a minute. That little screw. So you can now get that on and swing it around so that scroll lines up there like that. And then this fits somewhere like that, and that fits over the screw hole as well. Which is sort of there, and then you put the screw back in, and the idea is hopefully when you put the screw back in it all magically lines up. Put the screw back in through the old lock there, it screws into the dial, it goes through the plastic, it goes through the ring as well, and it stops everything rotating independently. But those screws are sometimes missing. It's not the end of the world if they are. Right, so that is all back together. So now those 2 feet under there locate in there. Or at least they should. This dial loom doesn't feel as long as it ought to be, really. It is really only just long enough. And that just fits in that little hook there. Then we can tighten that up. We should probably also tighten that one up as well to hold the ring around the dial. That's it. That's running a bit slow, I'll tell you now. But the idea's there. Right, so I'll go a line cord. We can try it then, couldn't we? We have got a line cord out of my amazing stash of line cords, which were in an old biscuit tin with a load of valves. Yes, radio valves. Those. Right, so here's my cord, which will now sort out. Now I'm going to turn this around now so that I can see what I'm doing a bit better. Yeah, I'll stick that there for now. So, oh, we need to convert it as well. It's not been converted. This one. So there is a link in there that needs to come out. What earth have they done here? God knows what they've made this link out of, but it's very, very stiff, this wire. Perhaps it's an old paper clip. Very stiff. Anyway, it needs to come out, that one. Oh, nearly dropped it. Nearly dropped it, but not quite. I caught it. Now all this does need cleaning up, of course, because there's some verdigris and that in it. I think this phone has been somewhere damp. Now I'm going to leave this in. It should have a 3.3 kilo ohm resistor. I'm going to leave the link in though for now. Or 3. I'm just going to put a link in here. Have I got one handy on the desk? Or have I got to go rummaging for one? There's sometimes one lurking on this desk, as you will probably be aware. But just because I actually want one today, there isn't one here. Right. Not to worry. I'll tell you what then, I will take that out of there. Oh no, I know what I'll do. I think I can borrow this one. Bit tricky this, because I'm sort of doing it upside down and backwards. I could also do with a slightly longer screwdriver. Right, remember that orange was on there. Right, so get my line cord now, which I've just dropped on the floor. Hang on. I got it. Right. Then this should work. So I'll stick that orange back on there. I'll stick it on there with a red from the line cord as well. Right, so now, oh look at that, it's broken off. You see that? It's actually just broken clean in half. That shows how degraded these metal bits are in here. That is weird. Never had one do that before. Right, okay. So I have got to arrange the box of bits then. Alright, here we go. course, being me, pick the wrong box. Let's try again. Right, here we are. I think I've got the right one. That's the one that fits in there. So while I've at it now, and I have actually got the resistors out, I'll fit one. So here's your 3.3k resistor. Just fighting with the box. So now what to put away. Right, so now that's in there. We also want the white of the line cord on there. Now we want the green from this cord on here, T15, just as a place to park it. To move the line cord out, the curly cord out a minute, so I can get access a bit easier. So I'll put the green on there onto T15 for want of a better place to put it. There's nothing connected to T15 generally, so that's why we put that there. And then blue goes up here. Blue goes there, doesn't it? Yeah. So that's blue your line cord there on 3, 4, 5, 6. T6. Then this link here, T4 to T5, this is the one that has to come out and be replaced by 3.3-ish kilo ohm resistor. You actually want 3,000 ohms, and I think 3.3 is the nearest you get, because you've got two 500 ohm bell coils in here, and so making 1,000 ohms in total, and you want to get the number of ohms in your bell circuit to 4,000 ohms in the end. So you need another 3,000 ohms, and that's what the resistor does to bring the ren of the phone down. See, that one's broken as well though, but there might just be enough left on it to stick it in there. This is because it's been damp and it's reacted with the metal. So I may end up taking all this apart and totally rebuilding it. But we just want to test it for now and see if we have got any life out of it or not. Because it's rare that you don't get any life out of them at all. It's very rare actually. So, red ought to have gone on there where I've just put that on, but it was a bit dodgy. That's what I'm going to actually put the red back on there where there's a bit less on the screw. So I'm actually going to put it on T9 instead of on T8 because they're linked together in theory. Right, now we bend this so it will sort of wrap around those two. So now this is not easy because your own hands get in the way of what you're trying to do. But what we need to do is get that in there. Like that one's in. I thought it was in. Turns out it wasn't. One end of it, other end of it, onto there, so bridges 4 and 5. And that's it. In theory, we've cracked it. Right, let's just have a trial run, shall we? And see if that works, and if that's it, that'll be it for tonight. I shall go away and have my celebratory pizza. So I'll just plug that in. Oh yeah, we have got a dial tone on this very crusty old phone. Shall we see if it rings? I'll ring it on my normal desk phone. No. Of course, it's off the hook, isn't it, you fool? Right. Let's hold the hook switch down. Try again. Nothing. Try dialing again. Oh, it's trying. It's actually vibrating, but not hitting the bells. So I'm just turning the bells round now. I just remembered why it's not working. It's because the bells are not held down. The actual bell mechanism is not held down. The two screws that should hold it down are missing. See, it's moving about. But yeah, that is sort of working. Right, if I now get the dial tone back. I should be able to dial my other phone. Yeah, I can. There we go. And that's working. So if I now blow down one and listen in the other, blow down my, this is my good phone and this is the one we've been working on. Yeah, and I can hear it. Now blow down the one we've been working on, listen on the good one. Yeah, seems to be working. So this phone now does seem to be working. So what I'll do now is put it back together. Now these cords always cross for some reason. I do not know why they do it, but they do. They put that one on that side, and I think they normally put the other one on first, don't they? So they put that one on that side. All the cords seem a bit short on this. So that one goes on that side, and then this one goes on this side, like this. So it's all together like that. Then we can hopefully put the case back on. Where have I put the case? There it is. Now this is where you find it won't go over the finger wheel. Unless you get very lucky. Right, time for me to rant about how shite GPO phones are compared to American Western Electrics. Which drop straight on. See, American Western Electrics. Right, so that is now, in theory, on there. Hook switches must be a bit bent. Don't seem to be coming up the way they should. But anyway, for now, it obviously needs some more work on it. But for now, it's together and it is basically working. So that's the phone that we've been restoring over the last couple of weeks. I can't put the screw in the back of the case because the case was bodged on with glue. There's a big blob of glue in where the screw hole should be there, you see. So, but it is now basically working. So now we know it works, we can at some point in the future do a bit more prettifying of it. But for now it does at least work, which is rather good news. So I'm quitting while I'm ahead for tonight, and I'm going to go and have my celebratory pizza, I think. But before we go for this evening, I will just double check on what everybody has been up to in the old chat room. If I can find it, hang on. Where has one put it? It's here somewhere. Hang on. It's some. There it is. Right. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Oh, Gambo said 1 blue, 2 green, 3 brown, 4 pink, 5 orange. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. But they're the opposite way up to what I normally look at it, because I normally look at it with the terminals at the bottom. But that's if you were looking at it with the terminals at the top. Gambo says, was there any luck finding a red case and handset we all voted for the phone with no case? The phone with no case? Did we do it? I remember, yes. Did we do the phone with no case? I can't remember if we did it or not. It was sat there, though, wasn't it? The phone with no case was sat here for ages. Did we do it? Or have I put it somewhere? I tell you, it's been so mad around here just recently, I literally don't know whether I'm coming or going. I'm losing it, entirely losing it. But yeah, well spotted, Gambo. I'll try and remember what the hell we did. I don't think I've got to go now. Might be near to Elstree for work reasons in the near future. Excellent. Yeah, go and have a little poke around. You not see the Big Brother house anymore, unfortunately. Although Big Brother is coming back, it's not going to be at Elstree anymore, which is a shame. But there you go. Dominic says, I've got my driving theory booked for early April. Good luck, Dominic. I think he's gone actually, but good luck, Dominic, anyway. He says, I bet I'll end up in an old Land Rover, knowing me. There are worse vehicles you could have, like an electric car. Penfold says that'd be like Vera, the TV detective. It would. It'd also be like Wesley on After Summer Wine, wouldn't it? He had a Land Rover. Wesley Begden's like, where is Wesley tonight, by the way? I've not seen Wesley tonight. Michael says, Andy, it's through watching your stream that you can mute these things, i.e. the bells are not drilled concentrically. It says, you taught me that. Yes, it's not obvious to look until you try it, but yeah, you can alter the bells to alter how loud they are. Some very late 746s actually had a little plastic lever and a spring on, so you could actually tone the bells down by pressing a spring against the clapper, I think it did. Wasn't very successful though. Not many phones had it. Pooper Scooper says, I've never had a link break on me either. It says, 746 in black is not my favourite colour, but it's actually quite nice in person. Yeah, I quite like the black ones. They're nice when they're polished, but when they get dirty, they show the dirt a lot. You have to keep polishing them. Penfold says, I've always admired how robust the old rotary telephones are. I read that after the atomic bombing of Hiroshima, that they got the telephone system up and running after 24 hours. I can believe it. I can believe it. Some of them feel like they'd survive an atomic bomb. Interestingly, a lot of Japanese phones seem to be popping up on eBay at the minute. I don't know where they're coming from, but they're popping up on the British eBay. Somebody must have imported some. Michael T says, a good stream tonight. Good night. Night, Michael. See you soon. Yeah. Oh, Wesley says, I'm here, just quiet. Oh, so he is here. Oh, hello, Wesley. Yeah. Yeah, see, I can only see people. I don't know how it works, this. I can only see people when they comment. I can't see, like, a list of people who are watching. And I'm sure there is a way of getting a list of people who are watching. I've just not found it yet. But, yeah, it's only been, what, 5 years? Whatever it's been. Right, that is about it for tonight, ladles and jelly spoons. We will be back here, hopefully around about the same time, same place, next weekend. I've now got to go and possibly find a new home for a dog. Got a horrible feeling he's going to end up here, but there you go. Yeah, so watch out for more adventures next week. In the meantime, remember, we do have the forum if you want to have a chat on there, gpotelephones.proboards.com, and we also have the website, andyshed.colepress.net is the place to go for the website. But that really is it for now. I will see you next week around, I would say same time, same place, but hopefully I will actually be on time next week at 6:30. But yeah, next Sunday 6:30, all being well, right here for another Andy Shed Live. From me for now, see you soon.